My name is Michael Drake. I'm the Assistant State Engineer over the Adjudication section in the Division of Water Rights. And so I manage this adjudication that's going to be underway. And you guys have probably heard about the adjudication coming. We've been working our way up here. We decided to commence the last two books in the Provo Division of the Utah Lake Jordan River adjudication at the same time. And so you may have gotten notifications for both of those if you had rights in both areas or if you had property in both areas. All right, and so tonight we're gonna go through a presentation. I hope it will answer many of your questions, but if not, I fortunately brought a whole bunch of my staff members with me, and I won't do it now just because I think we've got some of them hidden, kind of trying to stay out of the way for now. But they will make themselves known at the end of this meeting, and you can ask questions to them. Okay? They'll either have a DNR shirt on, or they'll have a tag that identifies them as a state employee, and then I will take questions as well. But hopefully we answer a lot of them through this presentation. All right, so here's some of the things we're going to walk through. We're going to hopefully educate you a little bit on the adjudication process, talk to you about what a water right is, what the adjudication looks like, and then we're going to talk about a timeline, how things are going to proceed over the next couple, 2 to 3, maybe 4 years, and then we'll take some questions. I have an email address listed here on the screen. Again, this presentation will be posted up, and you should have a link to this. And so you can come back and look at it. It'll also be posted on YouTube, so you can come back and you can relive the joyous experience that this tight meeting is. All right, so what is a general adjudication? In a broadest sense, it is just an action in the district court. But this is a very special type of court case. And in this, we determine water rights. All right, and so the state law establishes that the judicial branch has authority to determine water rights, not the state engineer, but the state engineer does participate in this process. And we participate through the adjudication process. All right. One of the important things about the adjudication, and this gets to the heart of why you guys are all here, and why we send out so many mailers. I talked to one person that got 5 different mailers. We want to make these fully binding on all water users, and so we go to great extents to make sure that everyone that may have a water right is given notice of the adjudication and can file a water user claim if they need to. All right, so we send it to property owners, we send it to all water right owners of record, okay? I think that covers this slide. We'll keep moving here. So what is a water right? All right, so in the state of Utah, all water rights are, it's a fundamental principle that water rights are property of the public. Okay, it's a communally owned resource. It's a natural resource of the state of Utah. A water right is a right to take and use that water for a specific beneficial use. Okay, and so many of you presumably have water rights in some form or another, and that gives you a right to do what is listed in your water right. Okay, water rights are defined by one of a few different details. The defined nature of beneficial use. All right, what are you using it for? Irrigation, stock watering, domestic, municipal, lots of different uses. Also, the priority date of the water right is a very important concept in water law. Not going to go into it in great detail today, but priority date is another part. Quantity of water. How much do you have a right to take? This is typically measured in flow rate or acre feet of water. So as we get into this and you look at your water right, you'll see that it has one or both of those quantities of water defined. Another one is the point of diversion. Where do you take your water right from? All right, this is a well, this is the diversion off the Provo River, this is diversion from a spring, lots of different points of diversion. So where do you get your water from? And then the place of use, where do you use your water right? So that's what defines a water right. Now let's talk about what it is not, all right? For the purposes of the adjudication, the water rights that we are adjudicating are not share-based changes. or share-based rights, okay? So if all you do is own shares in an irrigation company, you don't need to participate in the adjudication. Rather, your irrigation company will file water user claims on your behalf. Okay, this also applies if you have taken your shares and used them to evidence a change application. There are many in this area that have taken shares and have used them to file a change application into a well, to be able to take water out of a well. Even in that case, you don't need to participate in the adjudication. Your rights are still evidenced by the irrigation company. Okay, and so we're going to be working with those companies to get a claim and then to review those water rights. Okay, there was one more here. I think there is I think some of the cities up here provide municipal water, or at least I think Francis does. I'm not sure about Woodland. But if there's a culinary water system, then that water right also, if you get water through that system, you would not need to submit a water user claim. All right. So it's just if you actually own the water right is when you would need to do that. All right. Right here, this is some of the feedback we've gotten in the past is that we might need to tackle a few of these frequently asked questions at the beginning, try and help some people out a little bit with some of the basic questions that we seem to get. And so first and foremost, why did I get this summons, right? Okay, well, I already covered this. We send the summons out to all property owners, and we send it to all water right owners of record. The reason we do this is to make sure that we bind all potential water users. We want to make sure that we capture everyone that may have a water right in the area. So we send it to that huge group. That's why you guys are all here. And so that it's also published in the newspaper, in the local newspaper. We do all of this just so we can make this adjudication as comprehensive as possible. Through this adjudication, we are going to close the area. We're going to ask the judge to close it to future diligence claims. So no additional people can come in and file claims that might undercut prior rights. Okay, and so this is the time to file the water user claim. So that's why we send this broad mailer out. Okay, we talked about this a little bit. Irrigation shares and share statements. If your right is based on ownership of shares, you typically do not need to file a water user claim. The irrigation company will do it for you. Some of the local examples I pulled off of our website was New Washington Irrigation Company, South Camas. I understand they recently combined. That seems like the records need to be updated a little bit on our close. Okay. But it's in the process. Okay, there we go. In spirit. And then I know there's some Beaver and Shingle Creek Irrigation Company water rights that have been moved in the area. Again, if shares is the basis of your ownership, you don't need to submit a water user claim. The irrigation companies will do it for you. This is unique to this area is Weber River decree rights. We've tried to draw the boundaries and to exclude the rights that have previously been adjudicated as part of the Weber River decree. If through the property owner notification you receive a notice to file claims or summons, if your right is based on or is a Weber River decree right, you don't need to participate in this adjudication. We only do this once. And so you can ignore it. We're not going to come in and evaluate those water rights. Okay? This is typically a 35-8 series water right. Now that's not always the case because sometimes you segregate, you split off water rights, and so it may have another number. But the base Weber River decree rights have a 35-8 XXX water right number. Okay? Okay, so why do we conduct general adjudications? Okay, well, this is like the one story I'm going to tell, and it's a history story, but you guys have heard the story. It's a story of when pioneers came into the valley, or down into Salt Lake Valley, came into this area, right, 1847. Well, it wasn't until statehood followed in 1896. That's almost 50 years of time from when pioneers came into the area and when statehood came, and we started to get our first state-based water law. Okay, a lot of things happened in those 50 years. All of the surface water generally was appropriated in that time. All right, and one of the articles of the Constitution, the Utah Constitution, is that all existing rights to the use of any of the waters in this state for any useful or beneficial purpose are hereby recognized and confirmed. Okay, they're recognized, but they were not quantified. And so we've gone these many years without having some of these water rights quantified. So one of the most important things we're going to do is quantify all of these pre-statutory, these pre-statehood water rights. Okay, these are represented with some of them with decree rights, some of them as diligence claims, some as underground water claims. There's two key dates that define whether you're pre-statutory. If you're a surface water right, it has to have been in place prior to 1903. If it's an underground right, it has to have been in place prior to 1935. Okay, and that's what makes you a pre-statutory right. So we bring all of those rights through the adjudication into the water right picture. We also bring in other rights. We have these Federal Reserve rights. Now, this isn't a major issue in this area, but we do have forest lands surrounding here. And the principle here is that when the federal government reserves from the public domain lands for a specific purpose, they also reserve water for those purposes. And so we have summoned the federal government to participate in these adjudications. And that McCarran Amendment is what lets us do that. Normally, you don't get to sue the federal government. They have sovereign immunity, but through the McCarran Amendment, they can waive their sovereign immunity and participate in these state-based adjudications. Okay, so that's going to be underway. I'll tell you, this could be a cause for concern. We've been working with them. Generally, what we're seeing on these reserved rights is very small water rights to accommodate a little bit of like a guard shack, or like 1 to 2 acre feet of water is all that these are turning out to be as we work through these areas. So stay tuned on that. We'll continue to work with them, and you can certainly be informed on that if you're curious. Another thing the adjudication does, and this is really important. I was telling someone earlier that this is where I'd usually preach a little bit about the drought. Well, there's not a drought this year. Looking pretty good this year. But we still need to have a good, comprehensive, overall picture of water rights in the area. And we have not had that. Don't ask me how we've gotten through not having that over the last 100 and some odd years. But that's what we're trying to do now, so that we have the tools to better manage the water use throughout the Provo River drainage system. And we've previously adjudicated, and we're publishing what are called proposed determinations. I'll go into this in a minute. But we're completing adjudications down in Salt Lake Valley. We're going to keep working our way through Utah County, up into Wasatch County, and up here following the Provo River over the coming years. So we're getting that clarity that we need. Adjudications also tend to resolve some of the long-standing legal disputes that have arisen in these areas. We're gonna, well, for better or for worse, we're gonna kind of force the issue and get to a point where we resolve these issues. And so adjudications tend to reach those resolutions. This is the scary part, but please don't be too worried. We do remove the water rights that are not in use. Being a communal natural resource of all the citizens of the state of Utah, if people aren't using it, we need to remove those water rights and make sure that the water gets to the people that are using it. And so that is something that we're going to look at through the adjudication. Okay, so we are adjudicating 2 subdivisions. We commenced 2 subdivisions at the same time. These are rough boundaries for these areas. The Francis-Woodland subdivision is kind of what you'd expect it would be. It covers the two areas, Francis and Woodland, and it goes either side of the Provo River. We've defined an area within the Camas Valley where, according to prior studies that have been done, the groundwater conditions kind of break to the south. If you go north of that, generally groundwater tends to go towards the Weber River. South of that goes towards the Provo River. And so we've drawn that as the northern boundary. The southern boundary is generally like the mountain ridge between Lake Creek and the Provo River on this side. And then for Upper Provo, this is generally just follows the Provo River right up to the top of right up to the headwaters. And we have Duchesne River on the east side and Weber River on the north side, and we got Beaver Creek on the west side as well. So that's generally the area that we're adjudicating. Okay, so this is the adjudication process. How we're gonna try and blaze through this quickly, but I want to make sure you understand some key parts of this. We're gonna talk about it very briefly now, and then I've broken it into a few slides where we get into a little bit more detail. It's broken into 3 different phases. We are in the first phase right now, and the colors are good. Okay, it looks bad on my screen, but the green color is the phase we're in now, and so we have petitioned the court. And the notice has been sent out, and the summons has been sent out. That's what prompted you guys all to come here tonight. And we're doing the public meeting right now. So we're a good ways through this first phase. What's going to happen next is the notice to file claims, and this is when it's going to be on all the water users that have rights that apply to this adjudication. Remember, we talked about those share-based rights that are not part of this. But those that have rights that are part of this adjudication will need to submit a water user claim. Okay, now we're going to go into this in a little bit more detail. So let me go on here, and we'll hit that, and I'll talk more about what that is. All right, the next phase that will happen in later on this year, or maybe even into next year, is after we've gotten all those claims, we're going to compare that to the records we have, and if we have water rights that have not been claimed, they're going to be published on a list. And we call this list the list of unclaimed rights. It's genius, I know. And we'll publish that with the court. We'll send you guys all notice of that. This is the other bulk mailing that we're going to do. And we're going to have another public meeting at that time. If there's a right that you have an interest in that ends up on that right, you'll have the opportunity to object. Object. I was wondering, am I messing up my words here? But object and get that right taken off the list of unclaimed rights. Once we've resolved any of those objections, we're going to ask the court to decree those rights abandoned. Okay, but again, these are rights that no one has claimed. No one has any interest in it. So this shouldn't affect anyone here, anyone that is currently using water, as long as you get those claims in, okay? Third phase, and again, we're going to go back through this again. Third phase is where we really get down to work, okay, meaning me and my staff. We are going to be in the area over the next couple of years doing claim evaluation. So you're going to submit your claim, and then we're going to come out and look at it. We have several teams that are out throughout the summer, and we do a little bit of winter work, but it's not very effective right now to come up here and try and evaluate irrigation. It's kind of hard to figure out where the fields are. So we'll wait for the snow to come off for a lot of that, but we'll be up here working, and we'll evaluate it. We will prepare ultimately what's called a proposed determination, file that with the court. You'll have 90 days to object. If you don't like the recommendation that we have in there, you can object to it. And then we work to resolve that objection. We'll have another public meeting, and then once we've resolved all the objections, we petition the court to decree all of those rights. Sorry, to decree all those rights. I know I pulled my hand away. I wanted to gesture. All right, so we'll dive in more detail on each one of those. So phase one here, let's get into the nitty gritty. Okay, we've talked about some of the minor details here. So we've done most of this already. The key part I want to talk about now in this phase is what's going to happen in a couple weeks. So we're going to send out the next big mailer, and it's called the Notice to File Claims. And what happens then is a 90-day timer starts when we send out that claim. You need to, within that time period, complete a water user claim and send that back to us, okay? And now we are going to, let's talk about that a little bit more. All right, so I know it's kind of hard to see. It's a sample of what the form looks like. If you're at all familiar with the forms that the Division of Water Rights uses, it looks a lot like a lot of other forms. Excuse me. All right. So you'll submit that to us. You can also submit that to the district court. This is all happening in the Third District Court. All right. So when that mailer comes, we're going to help you out with this, though. We're going to send you the notice to file claims. It's slated for the 15th of February is when this notice is going to be mailed out. And if you have a water right of record, you are going to receive the notice, and you're also going to receive a partially completed water user claim. So that is, if you have a water right that's on our database that is of record with the state engineer, you're going to receive it, and it's going to match everything that we have. If that is what your water right is, all you have to do is sign it and return it to us. You've submitted a water user claim. Okay? Now, if you have, go ahead.
If their address is current.
If your address is current, that's a very good point. Our records are only as good as the information that's been provided by the water users, and so there certainly is the possibility that we have a bad address. And so if you have a water right, definitely track that and make sure you get the claim in regardless. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a way that you can track that down on our website and get a water user claim if for some reason you have a bad address or whatnot. All right, if you do not have a water right of record, you're going to receive a completely blank water user claim in the mail. All right, so you'll have the form with you, and you will then just complete that form representing whatever water right you have that isn't on our records yet, and send that in to us, and and that will constitute your filing of a water user claim. All right. Now, we are happy to help with this entire process. This is why I brought so many people tonight, and all those people are available back in the office to help you with these water user claims. Okay, so definitely we'll give you lots of different ways to contact us. We can help you through this entire process. We have a lot of staff that can help out with this. Now, when I say we're going to adjudicate these water rights, this is limited to just perfected water rights. Okay, if you have, for example, an application to appropriate, that's not a water right that we're going to adjudicate. You have a pending proof that you're going to have to submit instead. Okay, so what constitutes a perfected water right is a water right that you've received a certificate of beneficial use on. It's also a decreed water right. For example, if you have a Provo River decree right, that is a perfected right that we would adjudicate. And then if you have a diligence claim or an underground water claim, that's the type of right that we're going to adjudicate. All right, and as we've already talked, now we've said this a few times, irrigation company shareholders are not normally required to submit a claim. Okay, so we're going to be working with the irrigation companies on that. All right, I'll run through this quickly. This is the second phase. This is what will happen in the future. So we've compiled that list of unclaimed rights. Again, we have another public meeting. You'll get it. This is another mass mailing that we send out, and I think I covered it enough in the prior slide. But if ultimately you have a right that ends up on the list of unclaimed rights, please object, and we'll work with you on it and get your water user claim in. Okay, what will happen a little bit further in the future is the proposed determination and final decree. And the important parts of this is I want to talk with you a little bit about what our interface with you will be throughout the claim evaluation period. Okay, so you've submitted your claim. Let's go past the claim filing period. You've submitted your claim. We come out. We're going to call you, contact you in some way to say, hey, can we come out and take a look at it? And so we'll one of my staff members will come out, we'll look at it, evaluate it, come back to the office, do some file review, and then they will prepare what's called a state engineer's recommendation and mail that to you. We call it an SER. We like abbreviations in the government. And that'll get sent out to you. Now, even then, if you don't agree with what we send you, please talk with us. Let us know. Tell us what you think is wrong. Tell us what you think we messed up. We are happy to reconsider these right up until when we prepare the final compilation of all the water rights and put the proposed determination together. So please talk to us. So again, at the very end, once we've evaluated all the water rights, we put together the proposed determination. We file that with the court. We have another public meeting, 90 days to object to that, and then we work through those objections. Once we've resolved them all, then we petition the court to issue a decree on that proposed determination, and that's the end of the road. And then we're done, and we're out of your hair. We don't bother you anymore. Okay? Promise. There's certain ways you could get onto our radar, definitely. But it won't be my problem. That's someone else's issue. All right, we're very near the end here. All right, anticipated timeline. Now, please understand some of these dates are planned dates. We have multiple different subdivisions that we're pursuing right now, and we work our way through all of them. But we've recently been able to expand our team, so we have sufficient staff to move quickly on these, and our staff is good. We're killing it right now. We published 8 proposed determinations last year, which is the most that's ever been done. And so we're going to be moving quickly up here, okay? All right, so the first date you need to track, and I've already said this date, is we are planning on a February 15th notice to file claims. So that's when the clock starts, all right? And that starts that 90-day period to file the claims, all right? And then we start the claim investigation period at the end of that. So that 90-day takes us out to May 16th. Now, there is an opportunity, if you need it, to ask for an extension, a 30-day extension. I have the ability in statute to grant that 30-day extension, so you'll just ask for that directly from me, and I'll walk you through on how you can request that. And so that takes it out to 120 days if you need it. Okay? And then we're projecting that the list of unclaimed rights will probably happen next year sometime. We usually like to give it plenty of time to let people, if they were out of town, to come in and figure out, oh crap, they came in and adjudicated and I missed it. There's plenty of time to catch that, we hope. But we will continue to work with you throughout this entire period to make sure that we get the claims in and there's plenty of opportunity to participate in the adjudication. We're anticipating that it usually takes a couple years to get through this process, and so proposed determination, perhaps in September of 2025 is kind of what we're projecting. We'll see how that works out. That depends on the complexity of the water rights that we have to review. And then, if everything goes well and we do a good proposed determination, resolve the objections, and we can be out of your hair by 2026. I know that feels like a heck of a long time. But we are evaluating thousands of water rights on our way to getting that decree. All right. So, last couple common issues. We've talked about this a little bit already. Excuse me, my throat is going again. Okay, you may find, whether it's on the summons we already sent or in the upcoming notice to file claims, that why isn't my name on the water right? Well, a lot of times water rights are transferred without updating the state engineer's records. And so you may need to submit what's called a report of conveyance. Okay, so that we uncover a lot of outdated ownership information, outdated title. And so if that's an issue, again, contact us. We can help you through that process. Okay, but that is a common issue. And so if you find that maybe it doesn't match the trust that you've set up, maybe it's in your grandfather's name or your grandmother's name, that could be why title needs to be updated with our office. The other thing that we find is it's been a bigger issue down in Heber Valley. It may be an issue up here, is there are lapsed applications. If you have an application that's lapsed, this is the time there's an opportunity in statute to reinstate it. And that has to be done within the claim filing period. So again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this because I know we're getting tired of standing, right? I know I am. If you have a situation like that, your application is lapsed, contact our people. We'll help you through that. We'll help you get the affidavit in place while you also get your water user claim in. All right, and then this is the point I was talking to you about, the 30-day extension. I can grant that 30-day extension, and that's my email address. And you can also use that general email, waterrights_adjudication@utah.gov. And that comes directly to my phone, and we can grant that 30-day extension. All right, so the elephant in the room, right? Am I going to lose my water right? We do evaluate for forfeiture, but let me reassure you that if you're using your water right for its intended purposes, you have nothing to fear. Don't worry about it. We're not coming out, and we don't have some vested interest in getting rid of water rights. But if through the course of the adjudication we find that rights are not used, then we may recommend them to be forfeited. Now, for those that are using water, we should look at this as a good thing. We're getting unused water off the records of the state engineer, and that is less liability in the future that might come in and affect your water rights in the future. And so organizing our water rights is a good thing for all of us to do. We want to have a clear picture of how water is being used in the area. And then individuals that are using water without a water right of record, you need to get your claim in right now. If you don't file your water user claim and you're one of those that has one of these pre-statutory rights, you have to get a claim in right now. If you don't get a claim in now, you will forever be barred in the future from filing a claim. This is it. This is when it needs to be done. Okay? So hopefully that puts, again, if you have a particular situation you'd like to discuss, let us know. We deal with these all the time, and we can advise you and help you out with your individual situation. Okay, so who can you contact? Here's some of the key contacts. You have my information there. I stepped backwards. Sorry. And then you also have a few other contact information. Aspen Johnston is a program manager in the adjudication section. He manages all of the field adjudication teams. So he can get you to whoever is assigned to your specific water rights. And then we have a couple other key individuals, and Skylar Bishop, we have his number. He's one tucked in the kitchen. He'll step out here in a little bit. And then also Austin Adams. So they're two of the program specialists who are assigned to these areas. And so either of them can get you to the right person to help answer your question. All right? And so now this is where we're going to do a little bit of website tour, although I wonder if it might be more productive just to break for questions. Well, maybe let's show you a little bit. All right, so it'll take me a minute to get the laptop set up for the little website tour. So if you'll give me a minute, we'll get that set up. And in the meantime, you could start to ask questions. And again, this may be a good time for our staff to step out, make themselves known, and you guys can start to ask questions. And I'll interrupt in about 5 minutes once we're ready to do the tour.
Mike, do you want Aspen to do general questions?
Yeah, we could. Why don't we do that while I'm getting things set?
General questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any general questions to shoot out? Yeah, go for it.
So has this process finished in other areas of the state already? And if so, what kind of fraction of the water shares end up unclaimed? Just out of curiosity.
It has happened several times in other areas of the state. We've adjudicated basically the entirety of the Salt Lake Valley. We're still working in Utah County. That being said, it is highly dependent on the area. A lot of the rights in an area are somewhat defined by their area. In a particular area, you'll see a lot more irrigation. In another area, you'll see much more domestic use. And certain rights are more prone to falling out of use than others, primarily based on their types of authorized beneficial use. So I couldn't really give you a specific figure, but I would say maybe less than 100 in a subdivision. Yeah, go for it.
If you have multiple shares, do you file one claim or is it a claim for each share? Great question.
So if they're shares, you don't need to file a claim. If you have multiple water rights, you will want to file individual water users claims for each water right that you own. Yes.
That's a great question. I should have covered that. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
People online want you to restate the question Before you answer it, so they can hear it again.
Apologies. The first question was about how many water rights in a subdivision tend to end up on the list of unclaimed rights. The second question was, I'm sorry, I've lost it now. What was it?
How many applications or how many
Right.
claims do you do?
Whether or not you need to file a claim for each water right that you own. And if you have multiple water rights, then you will want to file a claim for each. Yeah, go ahead.
With respect to the shares in the irrigation company, is it that they are not part of the adjudication process, or they are, but the water company is?
The latter. So the question was, is it that we do not involve irrigation company water in the adjudication process, or is it another alternative to that? We do include them. They are in charge of filing water users claims the same as the rest of you for the water rights that are held by that irrigation company. So we work with them very closely. We talk with them a lot to make sure we're getting accurate information on their water rights and your shares, of course. Any other? Yeah.
If our water is claimed by the Forest Service, do they claim it, or do we?
Well, anybody can file a water user's claim on any water right. I'm sorry, the question was, what happens if the Forest Service claims our water right? And this,
It's a subdivision, and they own the water rights.
okay.
We use the water.
Okay. So the question is, there's a subdivision that has water rights that are owned by the subdivision. What happens if the Forest Service claims them?
The Forest Service has the claim now.
Okay, so the Forest Service has claimed this right. That isn't really an issue for us. As I mentioned, anybody can file a water user's claim on any.
So, like in the 1950s, they created this little subdivision, Soapstone,
Okay.
and it's a cabin area.
Mhm.
They have the water rights, but we use the water.
So they would file the
They
claim.
file the claim.
Yeah, the owner would file
I
the
see.
claim. Say that.
Yeah, so the question was who would file the claim for the right owned by the subdivision? The subdivision would file the claim. But you are welcome to file it as well.
There's a question submitted online. So if you recently bought land in Woodland area and do not have any water rights, but a stream runs through the property, can you file a water right claim to have legal right to use that water?
You are welcome to file a claim for that water. If it is not an existing water right, it will not become a recognized water right. If it's a pre-statutory right, then that is a different story. We can get it on the record as matter of the adjudication.
I'll address that too. This area is closed to appropriations. Surface water, like what that is, was appropriated long ago, and so you wouldn't be able to file. I mean, you can certainly try, but my expectation is the state engineer would reject that application.
What if it's a natural well? I mean, a spring?
Spring. Same thing with springs. The entire area is closed to new appropriations. And so to be able to do anything in the area, you need to purchase a water right through some form or another, whether it's outright or like many of you, I think, have done, is buy shares and file a change application like that. All right, so I'm going to break real quick. I imagine there's more questions, but I'm going to give a real quick website tour and show you just a few things. All right, so yes, we're showing. All right, this is our, and certainly people leaving, that's perfectly fine. If you want to capture one of our staff members, just make yourself known to them and they can answer your questions. All right, so waterrights.utah.gov is our website, okay? And when you get here, there's a couple key places where you can go that would help you diagnose this, your water rights. The first is the search button, if you can see that.
Is this on your website?
Yes, this is the website. Oh, yes, I think it's on the bottom. Isn't it on the bottom of our mailer? It should be, right? Or like the title block or the letterhead. I'm almost certain it's on the letterhead. Okay, it is there. So our website is there. I was sure hoping it was. All right, so you can search for your water right here. If you know your water right number, you can enter it here. If you don't know your water right number, there are other ways to search. One of the ways I like to search the most is with map search. So when you click on this, it brings up an aerial image of the area, first off of the state of Utah, and you can zoom in to the area that you're interested in. And I'll point out a couple things that will probably help you find things like a property you own. We have a lot of different layers off to the side. We have parcels, we have land ownership, and all sorts of different layers here. You may actually find this is useful for other things like finding BLM land and Forest Service land. So I use it all the time for other non-water right issues. Okay, what you're seeing here on the screen is all these red and blue marks. These are all water right points of diversion, okay? Red describes a well, and blue describes a surface diversion, okay? And so if I was interested in, and I wonder if this is someone's house or residence here, but I can zoom in. Someone's laughing. Is it theirs? Okay.
Just laughing at the thought of it.
Okay. All right. So I can click on that, and I can see that this is Miss Taylor's water right, and it's an underground water claim. And I can click on that, and I can get into a database page that tells me a lot more information about this water right. So Miss Taylor needs to file a water user claim in the adjudication. Hers is an underground water claim and 0.089 CFS. And her water right is for the irrigation of 1 acre, 19 animals, and 1.4 EDUs. Okay, now we can find out even more about the right under here. This is called the scan documents. We have a big file room in our office. I don't know if you guys have ever been down there. It's humongous. We have scanned everything in that file room and made that available on each water right. And so you can see everything that's in our file room. So you can see there's 29 different documents that are attached to this water right. Okay, so that's one way to find out more about your water right. Now let's go back here. Let me show you something. If you ever get lost on our website, which is very, very easy, all you have to do is click the banner up at the top, and you'll come back to the main page. All right, so let's talk about how to interface with the adjudication. You can click on this adjudication link at the very front here, and that brings you to an active adjudications. Many of you hopefully have watched our great little video. It's a cartoon. Click on active adjudications, and you can see all of the adjudications that we're currently working on. All right, so let's go with the Francis-Woodland. You can see Upper Provo is also here. But if you click on this will bring you to a listing of all of the known water rights in this area. So this is the known ones. This will be updated as we move through the adjudication. Okay, and there's lots of things you can do here. First off, if your water right is not of record, you can also use this to file your water user claim. And this will bring you to a little wizard that will walk you through all the steps to prepare a water user claim. We can also help you out with this. All right, but let's say you also, that you are, let's find one at random. MC Lawson here. Is MC Lawson here? Okay. All right, so a few things you can do here. This is a link to click on a map and find out where this water right is. So this is 55-772. And it looks like it's up the river a little bit. And again, I can interface with it the same way we did on when we were looking at that previously. I can click on it and get to the water right entry. And but let's come back here, and I want to show you one more thing. Again, and you can also click on your water right number right here and get to the database entry. And again, scan documents is where the file is. And the last thing you can do on this page is you can click on this and file a water user claim. Why isn't it working? There we go. And again, this will take you to that wizard and help you prepare a water user claim. And so this is kind of your dashboard for interfacing with the adjudication. But again, I know this can be a little complex. We're happy to help you. Contact our people. We can walk you through this. All right, the last thing I'll point out on this is this page will continue to be updated throughout the adjudication. When our people come out to do a field review, they will enter the date into this field, and you'll see that we've come out. So you'll be able to track the progress of the adjudication on your water right. All right, and so you'll see those progress as we move through that. Okay, I think that's the end of what I wanted to show there. It's probably best at this point just to break, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. And I think we won't do it like live with the microphone. We'll go ahead and end the, maybe we can keep the meeting up. I don't know, but I'm going to put the microphone down. People can come and ask me questions, and this is where I'll ask my staff to come out of the kitchen, and you can find them and ask them questions, and we'll just kind of take it from there. So, okay, thank you.